Hello, another great week at Dr. James McConnell's The Small Business Network with co-hosts Brittany Wise and Carol Harper Poe. And Miss Carol is off today. She's feeling under the weather. And we have our expert practitioner here all the way from Buffalo, New York, Carla A. Murphy. How you doing, Miss Carla?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you, Dr. James?
Oh, another beautiful day here in Dallas, Texas. I know saying that doesn't excite you because I know you've been in that 20-degree blizzard snow weather, right? But isn't that exciting for you though? I think y'all love that, right?
Oh, we adapt to it, but we enjoy your sunshine.
Do you?
Absolutely.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So we're going to get into our first topic, Miss Carla, which is get your finances in order. I want to talk about that. So how can I get my finances in order, Miss Carla?
Well, first of all, you have to have a mind to want to improve. You have to make a commitment. The first step that after making up your mind that you want to get your finances in order would be to order a credit report. Not only order it, but read it and evaluate the information that's on there for accuracy. If indeed it is accurate, then you know it's something that you need to address. If it is not accurate, then you know that it's something that you need to work on getting removed. You want to gather all of your financial paperwork to make sure that you have the appropriate documentation to cross-reference. After you gather it, you organize it, and then it will help you to have a better perspective to see the overall situation you're dealing with. You also want to analyze your insurance coverage that you have available and, when possible, make a will. One of the most important things about working on getting your finances in order is to create a budget and stick to it. Oftentimes we set financial goals, but we deviate from it. So we have to be very focused and stick to it. And ultimately, we want to work towards reducing our debt. So if we can't buy it and pay for it, some things we don't need. So that's one of the practices that's good to have, is that you have the money to pay for it, and you want it or you need it, then you get it. And sometimes you have to readjust, and you just have to wait. But these are some tips that will help to get your finances in order.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. That's a lot of information, especially with, everybody's looking forward to tax season coming up. So how can I straighten my finances?
The most important thing would be to create a spending plan. If you already have a budget, it's time to constantly update it. So as different expenses are handled, then you want to make adjustments, and you can readjust and use those finances and resources to be applied towards something else. You also want to focus on making payments on time as much as possible. Early is better, but definitely not late. You want to do it on time. And then the next thing is you want to save, you want to save, you want to save. Oftentimes we don't have a problem with spending, but it's definitely a challenge to save. And no amount is too large or too small to save. It all adds up. You want to set short and long-term goals. And sometimes you want to consider one-on-one financial coaching to help get you on track. And that may be a matter of attending a financial workshop or even a financial boot camp, or during this pandemic, perhaps even a financial Zoom or speaking with someone on a conference call or one-on-one with a business advisor.
I love it. I love it. So straighten out those finances. I like that topic because especially if you're going to be self-employed, because paying bills doesn't stop, and taking care of equipment or anything in business that you have, well, you need to have enough money left over to feed your family, right, and to be able to do your day-to-day. So that makes a lot of sense, We'll move on to prepare to make sacrifices. Ms. Carla, where do I want to go, or where do you want to go?
Well, I think that we should want to first clarify our goals. An entrepreneur's personal and business goals should be linked. They should not be independent, but they should be joined together. Entrepreneurs build their businesses to fulfill personal goals, and if necessary, sometimes they seek investors with similar goals. Before they can set goals for a business, entrepreneurs must be explicit about their personal goals. You have to be realistic, and you have to really make sure that you set goals that can be attained. You must periodically ask yourself if the goals have changed. And so when the goals change, you have to change, and that's okay. And that's a very powerful thing to do, to know when it's time to move on or to readjust. Many entrepreneurs say they're launching their business to achieve independence and to control their destiny, but the goals are just too vague. It's good to have short-term goals, long-term goals, but I also believe it's good to have some small goals and some large goals. And once you can achieve them, it helps to encourage you to continue to move on. So if you stop and think about it, most entrepreneurs can identify their goals, and they realize that they need to be more specific. And as they reach and obtain small goals, it helps them to build their courage to make even larger goals.
Yeah, that's actually really good information. We've talked about it on our show before about, setting SMART goals. What are they? Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. That's the acronym for SMART. So as far as sacrifices, that they go hand in hand. Once you know where you're going and you know what goals you want to attain, now you can make the sacrifices that you need to make moving forward, especially when you got children or you got a family.
Right.
Oh, Lord, the kids want this and that and the third, and Christmas come around, and it's like, okay, wait a minute, let me do what I need to do now so I can have a better Christmas later on, or a better, birthdays later on. Right. So it's, it's a thin line. It's a silver lining a lot of times. And as people, as humans, we want to give everybody the world. Right. But when you learn that, okay, I have to not eat McDonald's today so I can have better health tomorrow. Absolutely. Or, I need to save these 2 pennies today so I can have 5 pennies tomorrow. That's right. That's a sacrifice. And a lot of times as entrepreneurs, we don't want to make those sacrifices, but it's vital, it's important moving forward that, okay, we got to sacrifice now for better later, or you're going to have everything now and have nothing later. Right. So it's a balance. It's a balancing of the scales, Lord. It's a Libra balance.
Man, well said. How sweet it is.
How sweet it is.
It's
bittersweet. Look, it's lemonade sweet.
That's right. So, Ms. Carla, how will I get there? How will you get there?
Well, we'll set some strategies. Many entrepreneurs start businesses to see short-term opportunities without thinking about long-term strategies. Successful entrepreneurs, however, they soon make the transition from a tactical to a strategic orientation so that they can begin to build crucial capabilities and resources. It's important to formulate a sound strategy. It's more basic to young businesses, young companies, than resolving hiring issues, designing control systems, setting reporting relationships, or even defining the founder's role. Business ventures are based on a good strategy. They can help survive confusion and poor leadership, but sophisticated control systems and organizational structures cannot compensate for an unsound strategy. So once entrepreneurs have formulated clear strategies, we must determine whether those strategies will allow the ventures to be profitable and to grow to a desirable size. It's our end goal to be successful, prosperous businesses.
I love it. So how do we get there? So me personally, the sacrifices that you make early on, as far as when you first start a business, let's say your first 2 years, because if you didn't know, Google will tell you, every 20 businesses that start a business within the first 2 years, 18.5 fail. That's not a number I came up with. That's a number Google came up with. Every 20 new businesses, 18.5 fail. Well, that's 1.5 people that make it. Why? Probably not sacrificing enough. Can it be capital problems? Yes, with certain businesses, but there's a lot of businesses that you can start that doesn't require a lot of capital. Sometimes it's not about that. It's about not sacrificing enough time.
Yeah.
Sometimes even with your family. Sometimes a lot, you can't have it all. If you want a business, you have to be nearly 24 hours trying to grow that business. And yes, everything's, unless you're lucky, and you can do it all and you can still spend, 5 hours a day with your family and work, well, that's great, but it doesn't normally work that way. Normally family is sacrificed because you can't be with them or your kids as much because you're working long hours, and when you get home, they're either going to sleep. You don't have time to really talk to them, but that's how that works until you can get your business rolling. And then once you're rolling, then you can be able to kind of say, well, now I can stop at this time to go to my kid's game and go have dinner with them, so on and so forth. But you can't do that right off the bat. I know a lot of people that try, I want time with they want to quit their job to go get a business to have more time with the kids. They think that's how that works. And it does in the long run, but not in the immediate, unless you're lucky. If you're lucky and it works that way, that's great. But most people have to work hard. Yeah. So
a lot of people don't want that discipline.
That's right.
That first 3 years of grind and sweat and tears and blood, a lot of people don't want that discipline.
That's right.
They don't want to do what's necessary early on because they see you, me, those entrepreneurs that really just have the time freedom.
That's right.
And we kind of set our own schedules and we can pace ourselves. That's what we've been in business for 20 years.
That's right.
But the first 3 or 4 years in business, no,
it's hard.
It was sleepless nights and up 3 o'clock in the morning doing something.
Right.
Sleep 4 hours, go sleep in your truck, go here, go. Yeah, it was grind.
It was
in
grind.
the first part.
Absolutely, man, that's something. That's awesome. Okay, we're gonna move on, guys, and we're gonna talk about WIG, widely important goals. Miss Brittany, what is a wig? I mean, so you're not talking about the wigs that you wear on your head,
no,
right?
No, not my favorite. No,
so,
not,
right.
not
so,
those
so not
wigs.
that kind of wig.
No, a wig is a wildly important goal in business. It's a book called The 4 Disciplines of Execution.
Okay.
And in the book, he talks about how we get lost in the whirlwind trying to accomplish so many things and not focusing on the most important things. And the priority goals, they tend to lag behind because of our lack of discipline. So we're talking about SMART goals and discipline. All of this goes hand in hand. Mm-hmm. A wildly important goal is that one goal that must be achieved in order for all other goals to work.
Right.
So if you have that 1 or 2 items or 1 or 2 goals that you need to accomplish, that if you don't accomplish these 2 or 3 things, then everything else don't matter.
Right.
So it's like, okay, I want to make more money. What is the one goal that you need to do that where you make more money, you get more customers? So what is that one thing that you need to do in business to make sure that you accomplish more money, which is the symptom of the goal, so to speak.
Right. So the wildly important goals, would you say those are goals that you want to do first when you say wildly
So
important
wildly
goals?
important is like that big goal that almost seems unattainable.
Got you.
But when you start applying steps to it, it makes it easier to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish.
Well, I actually love that because for the viewers, it's okay to dream about going to the moon.
Absolutely.
Then we made it to the moon, right?
Right.
It's okay to dream about making the first atom bomb.
Right.
We did that,
Right.
right? It's okay for someone to dream about how do you put a computer on your phone when it was just phones where you just, you dial in, you know. And I can't say do I remember because I don't. I'm not that old, right? So
Rotary phones?
Rotary phones, right?
You don't remember rotary phones?
Well, barely. Maybe I was 7 years old last time I seen that.
My grandma was born in 1923, so she had a rotary phone. So.
Okay. Well, yeah. So the bottom line is that idea of the wildly important goals that's needed because you would never reach the goal. These smartphones that we have right now would never be a smartphone without someone dreaming about having the computer on the phone, being able to GPS where you want to go, being able to be tracked, like the iPhones can allow you to be tracked. So having those, it's okay to reach for the moon. See, you give your brain limit if you don't do that.
Right.
And so your brain is actually the biggest and smartest computer on the planet and ever devised.
Yep.
Right? So the goal is to think limitless to reach those goals. That's how you're supposed to do that, to think limitless to reach those goals.
Yeah.
So I love that. So Ms. Brittany, how do you determine your wig?
Well, so you kind of touched on it a little bit, but you have a start line and you have a finish line. So like you said, you want to start with a big goal that seems unattainable. And now you backtrack and you think, okay, how am I going to accomplish this goal?
Right.
What steps do I need? This is where I'm at the starting line. What do I need to do to get to the finish line? And it also puts your mind in a perspective to where now you're seeing the end result. You see the big picture, and sometimes we wonder, okay, how am I going to get there? Now you can move forward towards your finish line.
Right.
You also want to have 2 or 3 priorities. And you make sure your goals align with your mission, your vision, and your strategy.
Right.
So,
Okay, so what is the wig? So, Ms. Carla, are you back on?
I'm here.
All right. So what is, how do you determine your wig, your wildly important goals?
Well, I like what Ms. Brittany said. That was a great explanation of the wildly important goals. And absolutely, it's important from the beginning to consider vision and to write the vision, make it plain, and also to set a mission so that you know where you're going. So for me, it's important to identify what's actually important and what my end result is that I'm trying to achieve. So that being said, just like with everything, I try to look at having a theme. I try to look at putting the pieces together based upon the things that are important to me, such as like family and community, my religion, my business, education. So all of those pieces, I see how they can jointly fit together, and because every piece of the puzzle is important. So that's the way that I look at how I handle business.
I love it. I love it. Your wig, how sweet it is. How many people told you your wig? How many people said your wig, how sweet it is?
Just you.
Just me? Okay.
Just you. You're one of a kind, Dr. James.
Well, let's move on. We're going to talk about prosperity conscious.
Okay.
So, Ms. Brittany, what is prosperity conscious?
Well, we talked about it a little bit earlier with Ms. Carla talking about getting your finances in order. A part of having a prosperity conscious is just understanding that abundance is my birthright.
Okay.
When we get to a state of inner being where we know that our God wants us to be prosperous, He's here to give us a hope and a plan,
Right.
and a future. So that's what prosperity consciousness is, just walking in abundance.
I love it. I love it. So, how to develop a prosperity conscious?
Well, there's a few things that you can do to develop your prosperity consciousness. You can have your positive affirmations every morning, the I ams. I am great. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I am abundant. Whatever your I ams are. And, a lot of times we walk around saying, I am not this, I am not that, I don't do this, I don't do that.
Right.
If we change our thinking and change what we speak, then that creates a prosperity consciousness.
Right.
So subconsciously, we go about doing things differently.
Right.
We want to determine how much money you want, and then have people work and money work. And this is something that's right up your alley because you have the vending machines and your ATM machines, and that's money work.
Right.
And then you have your people work, which is when you have your partnerships with MDC's list, that's people work.
That's right.
So when we have money work and people work, now we're balancing the scales, and then we're walking in prosperity,
Right.
which is what we ultimately want to walk in. Providing a service is a way to develop a prosperity conscious.
Well said. Well said, Ms. Brittany. I love that. So we're going to move on to one of my favorite topics called consistency.
Okay. Well, consistency is like you are probably the epitome of consistency. I talked to Dr. James and doing dent work. He doing this. He doing okay. All right. Every day. It's grind. Get to a term. What do they say? Make $1 out of 15 cents.
That's right.
That's Dr. James.
Absolutely.
So what is business consistency, Dr. James?
Business consistency, and if you had a chance to look at the video I shared, last week with Denzel Washington, he talked about a dream cannot be reached without consistency.
Absolutely.
And so that's true. You have to be consistent. And like you said earlier, to build the steps, you remember you said about building the steps to making something work.
Right.
Well, that's what consistency is all about.
Absolutely.
To build the steps, the little steps, the everyday thing that you got to do to make it happen. The everyday steps is what it takes. So, yeah.
So why is it important?
Why is it important? Well, you know what? I'm going to defer that to Ms. Carla first. Ms. Carla, why is it so important?
Okay, Dr. James, thank you so much. Consistency is important because it helps you to develop routines and to build momentum. It helps you to form habits that will eventually become second nature, which ultimately leads to success. It helps you to focus on the process instead of the end goal, and consistency will help you to enjoy your journey.
I love it. I love it. And for our previous conversation, Ms. Carla, I know you love this topic too, right?
I love it.
Well,
How sweet it is.
How sweet it is. So the consistency, like we said, is the most important thing, really, as pertains to business. And if you want to grow a business or turn it into something great, consistency is number one.
That was always my issue early on, because ideas come very easy to me. So somebody will say, "Oh, this idea," and then from there, they're planting the seed. I have all these new ideas and then I'll get sidetracked with going over here to this business and doing this, and now I'm doing something completely different from, I'm going from real estate to selling candy to
right.
It's like there's no consistency, and I would always wonder, I'm chasing the carrot. I've done all these, I've written a book, I have vending machines, I've done a carpet cleaning business, and it's like I'm not doing any of that now, and I'm not getting where I need to get to. Why?
Right.
I wasn't consistent. I jumped from one thing to another, and I had to learn how to be consistent with one thing and move forward and get that one thing, the foundation set and established before moving to something else. So yeah, that's absolutely the main thing. So let's switch to sales.
Okay.
Since we're talking about consistency, I know sales, sometimes you not consistent because you ain't getting no sales. So how important is sales?
Oh man, sales is very important. I mean, sales is everything you do. Everything you do as far as whatever business you want, you have to sell yourself first. Sell yourself as a person that knows what they're talking about. Sell yourself as a person of credibility, a person that whatever you're saying is correct and it matters. So how important is sales? It's important in everything. Just about any business you do. Even when you were going to get a regular job, you have to sell to the hiring person that you're the right person for the job. So in business, it's no different. Whether it's airtime for a show or whether it's going to sell some tennis shoes, you have to sell.
Right.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that because everything in life is sales.
Right.
And sometimes people will go, I don't like sales. Well, even when you go to church, the pastor got to sell you on your belief. Like, everything is selling. Even like you said, you go to the interview and you have to sell yourself in the interview, but the employer also has to sell you on that you want to work here.
That's right.
So everything we do is sales, and for people to shun it like, oh, I don't like sales, they probably had a bad experience with a salesman or a saleswoman, and it turned them kind of nasty to the art of sales, but it's really art.
It's art.
Is how you use your characteristic to be relatable with somebody else. I do physical therapy. Half the time, just getting to somebody's house to do the therapy is selling.
Right.
I have to get them to believe that they can get better.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, what's the verbiage of sales?
Now, this is what I like to talk about. The verbiage of sales is knowing what to say, when to say it. You have to listen to the customer, see what they want, and then give it to them. But knowing when to say it and how to say it. Like if you're trying to sell a product, let's say the product is $500, but you're willing to go down to $300. Well, you don't say it's 500. Well, it's 4. I'll go to 3. You don't do that.
Yeah,
you
right.
say it's 500. You stick to it till you see if they can pay the price.
Right.
If they can pay the price, that's great. And if not, say, well, you know what? I have a second tier that's $400. Can you pay that?
Right.
Well, yes. If they can, now you're good. If they say
Right.
no, it's still too much. Okay. Well, look, I have a third tier, and it's only $300. But that's it. And then if they say yeah, it's great. If they can't, then you have to understand. Okay, well, ma'am, let me know, or sir, whenever you want to do this, and we can move on. So it's knowing what to say, when to say it, to strike a nerve with the customer.
Right.
So having said that, we're getting toward the end of our show, and what I want to do now is I want to let you guys know, like we always do, we have goodies. You use any of Miss Brittany services, and they would call you by calling what number, Miss Brittany?
214-774-7503.
And anyone wanting to get on NBC's list to improve their business and leads and so on and so forth, they would call the 469-765-5327, and you let me know. And Miss Carla, anybody want to get a business developer or improve a youngpreneur, how do they get in touch with you, Miss Carla?
Thank you. 716-553-3109.
I love it. I love it. So this is another part at the end of this show that we like to talk about, getting these gift cards. You guys give us a call, any one of those numbers that we just said, and just for using our services, you get a $200 gift card just for using. Keep that in mind. You were going to use it anyway, right? You were going to use our services anyway. But by just doing it from these phone calls, from this show, we're going to give you a $200 gift card just for using our services. So, having said that, you guys, thank you for being here. Thank you, viewers.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. It's lovely to have you here, and we can't wait to see you on next show. God bless, and we're going to see you guys next time on Dr. James McConnell's The Small Business Network. See you later.
How sweet it is.
How sweet it is.